والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم.
Islam 101.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi amma ba'd. Welcome to Islam 101, a program in which we're going to do our best to give a clear and concise understanding and explanation about the basics of the religion of Al-Islam, its tenets, its beliefs, its practices. I'm your host, Abu Usamah Adh Dhahabi, and I welcome all of you from our respected viewers as well as our guests. Today we're going to deal with an extremely important hadith from the hadith of Rasulullah Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this word that you hear, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it is simply me sending the peace and the praises upon our prophet and our messenger, as we do for all of the prophets and messengers in Al-Islam. So we're going to use some Islamic terms, and I'll do my best when I use the Arabic terms to translate them. But if I forget, I hope, from the context of what I'm saying, all of you would understand what is implied. Concerning today's topic, we're going to deal with an authentic hadith that's been collected by Imam Muslim, and we'll explain in the future, inshallah, God willing, what is it, the hadith, and the role that the hadith plays in Al-Islam. This is the hadith that's been narrated by that illustrious companion, that tremendous personality in Al-Islam, that individual who every single Muslim man, woman, and child owes a great deal of gratitude to for the role that he has played in the history of our religion. And that is none other than Abu Hafs, Umar ibn al-Khattab al-Faruq, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Umar said that one day he was sitting in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the peace and blessings of Allah be upon our prophet and messenger, when out of nowhere there appeared a man. The man, his hair was exceedingly black, his clothes were exceedingly white, and no one could detect upon him the fact that he was a traveler. Umar said, even though this was the case, no one from amongst us knew him. If he was from Medina, then someone should have known him. If he was from the city where the companions were living, then someone should have known him. Since no one knew him, it would suggest that he was a traveler. Well, if he was a traveler, at least they should have seen on him the effects of traveling. You would think that his hair would have been disheveled, his clothes would have been dirty. He was wearing a white clothes. So it was strange, the fact that the man appeared in this situation. So it caused everyone to look at him and to take stock of his situation. So what did he do? The man got close to the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and he sat down on his knees. He put his knees to the knees of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which goes to show the humility of Prophet Muhammad. There are many people who are in positions of authority. The mudir, a person who's in a position, he's a president, he's the leader of a company, leader of a tribe. They don't want people to get close to him. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam allowed a perfect stranger to come and put his knees close to the knees of the last messenger and prophet. So that is a lesson for every Muslim to show us. None of us are better than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have to make a conscious effort to be people who are humble. That's one of the benefits of this hadith. So the man put his knees to the knees of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and took the palms of his hands and placed the palms of his hands on the thighs of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, Ya Muhammad. He called him by his name, his first name. And everyone knows, as Muslims, we have been taught in our religion to respect people of authority and people of position. Even Allah said in the Quran, لا تجعلوا دعاء الرسول بينكم كالدعاء بعضكم بعضا. Don't call Rasulullah the way you call each other. I call you, Ya Ilman, Ya Muhammad, Ya Abdullah. We don't call Rasulullah like that. We say, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Nabi Allah. That's how we address people of position. But this man said, Ya Muhammad, tell me, what is al-Islam? You are the representative of this religion. What you say is the religion. Not what someone else says or what someone else has done. What you say is the religion. So what is al-Islam? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, al-Islam is that you bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah. He did not say, bear witness that there's no God but Allah. So we have to take this opportunity out to stress this point. It is a wrong and incorrect and improper translation to say La ilaha illallah means there's no God but Allah. No. La ilaha illallah means there is no God worthy of worship but Allah. Jesus is a God to some people. Money is a God to other people. A woman may love her husband so much that she takes him as a God. Power is a God. So La ilaha illallah means there's no God worthy of worship but Allah. So he said al-Islam is that you should bear witness there's no God worthy of worship but Allah, and that you establish the 5 prayers every day, and that you give the zakat, the poor do, and that you fast in the blessed month of Ramadan, which is the 9th month in the Islamic lunar calendar. And number 5, that you make the sojourn and the pilgrimage to Mecca for the Hajj. The questioner said, you have spoken the truth and you got it right. Umar radiallahu anhu, the narrator of the hadith, he said, we found it strange that the man would ask a question and then he would say to Rasulullah, you got it right. One of the benefits of this, Rasulullah being told by Jibril, you got it right, one of the benefits of that is that if you are a parent, a mother or a father, and you find that your child, he does something good, you're a teacher in the university, in high school, grammar school, if the student gets it right, it is highly recommended that you praise him and you say to him, you've gotten it right, because it will increase the desire in that student to be a good student. He said, you got it right. Now tell me, what is al-Iman? Ya Muhammad, tell me, explain to me. You're the representative of al-Islam. You're the one, the Nabi, the Rasul, the Prophet, the Messenger, the representative of the religion. What is al-Iman? Prophet Muhammad, peace of Allah be upon him, he said, al-Islam is, or al-Iman, faith is that you believe in Allah, and that you believe in all of the angels, and that you believe in the books that were revealed by Allah, and you believe in the prophets and the messengers that those books were revealed upon, and that you also believe in the last day, Yawm al-Qiyamah, that Allah has created us as human beings, and everyone is going to taste death, and then there's going to be a final day in which you're going to be asked and questioned, why did you do this, and why didn't you do that? You have to believe in that. And number 6, that you have to believe in the Qadr. And the Qadr is the divine decree, that everything has been predestined and preordained before it even happened. The questioner said, you had it right. You answered correctly. Now tell me, Ya Muhammad, what is al-Ihsan? Who is the Muhsin? What is al-Ihsan? Perfection. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, al-Ihsan is that you worship Allah as if you see him. And even though you don't see him, know for a surety that Allah sees you. He said, you got it right. Now I have another question. Can you inform me, when is the hour, when is the Sa'ah? Yawm al-Qiyamah, the last day. When is it going to be established? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, another sign of his humility. He would not answer a question that he doesn't know the answer to, even though he is Rasulullah and the Khatam al-Anbiya wa Rasul. He is the last prophet and the last messenger. But if he didn't know, he would tell people he didn't know. Because only Allah knows everything. No angel, no prophet, no human being, no imam, no intelligent man, no scholar knows everything. Only Allah. So when he was asked that question, when is the hour, the last day? He said, the one who was being questioned, meaning me, Muhammad, knows just as much as the one who was doing the questioning. You know just as much. You know just as much. The people in our listening audience, they know just as much as to the answer of this question than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All of us are equal in this issue. No one knows but Allah. So the questioner, he wanted to know. He said, well, since you don't know, tell me, what are some of the signs of the last day? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in this particular hadith, some of the signs is that you will see the slave girl giving birth to her mistress, to her master. And you'll also see the barefooted, naked Arabs competing with each other to erect lofty structures. Whenever you see in the world that the Arabs, who are a group of people who live in the Badia, they live out in the desert. That is the natural terrain of the Arabs. It has been this case for centuries. When you see them start to build up their cities and they create metropolitan areas and they have big, high erected buildings, then know for a surety that the hour is close. And then the man who asked the question, he got up and he left. Umar, the narrator of the hadith, he said, I remained sitting with Rasulullah for some time. And then Rasulullah said to me, Ya Umar, do you know who the questioner was? Umar said, Allah and His Messenger know best. Another example. Where did Umar get that from? Umar was trained by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Umar was in the presence of Rasulullah when he was asked, tell us about the ruh, about the spirit. Tell us about Yawmul Qiyamah. Tell us about this. Tell us about that. And he saw when Rasulullah didn't know, Rasulullah would always say, Allahu A'lam. Allah knows best. Allah knows best. The one who's being questioned knows just as much as the one who's doing the question. So that's the tarbiyah of Rasulullah to Umar radiallahu anhu. So it was only natural for Umar when Rasulullah asked him a question that he didn't know the answer to, that he said, Allah and His Messenger knows best. I don't know who that man was. Rasulullah said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, innahu Jibril, ata liyu'allimakum amra dinikum. That was Jibril. He came to teach you people your religion. That's the hadith that we're going to deal with today. And before even getting into the explanation of this hadith, brothers and sisters, respected viewers, it is pertinent that we take this time out just to mention a few things concerning the beginning of the statements of Umar radiallahu anhu. May Allah be pleased with Umar and the rest of the companions. The first thing that I want to draw your attention to is how Umar described the physical attributes of the questioner, Jibril, when he came. Jibril is, in al-Islam, an archangel. He's an archangel. This is our guest, Nick, who's a non-Muslim. And we want Nick, just as we want the other people in the viewer audience, to understand clearly what al-Islam is and what al-Islam isn't. Jibril is one of the main and most important angels in the religion of al-Islam. He was mentioned in the Injil, in the Bible, and he was mentioned in the Torah, of the Jewish faith. So he was the one, Gabriel, Jibril. He was the one who came, and they have the ability to take on the form of human beings, as this is the case. But normally, the angels, they are creation, that they're made from light. They have wings. They have power. They have different abilities. They don't disobey Allah. Whatever they're commanded to do, they do it. And we do not believe as Muslims in the concept of a fallen angel. We're going to take a break right now, and then we'll come back, and we'll pick up from this point about the angels, and then we'll explain the rest of the hadith, and we ask Allah to make it easy for us and to make it easy for you.
Islam 101. Islam 101.
Bismillah, welcome back, and we ask Allah to make it an awda that's mubarakah, a blessed return. As we were mentioned before we took our break, concerning the angels in Islam, we believe, as the Quran tells us, that the angels do not have the ability or the capacity to disobey Allah. They do what they are ordered to do. And there are different angels and they have different functions. We all have angels who are recording our good deeds and our bad deeds. As Allah said in the Quran, مَا يَلْفِظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. The human being does not utter a single word, except over him are two angels who are writing the good and the bad. There are the angels who will come to each and every individual in the grave. That is called Munkar and Nakir. They will come and they'll question you. What do you have to say about that man who came to you? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. They will come and they will ask you, what is your religion? Who do you believe in? So everyone would have to answer. The point is, Jibril in this hadith, he is an angel. As we all understand, and we should understand that, but the angels have different functions and different abilities. And one of the abilities is they can take on the form of human beings. He came in a particular way to teach us a lesson. In the religion of Islam, the Muslim is an individual who is representing his family. He's representing his religion. He's representing his community. He has a distinct and a unique personality. So when he comes in the public eye, he should take that into consideration. Just as Jibril came a certain way. And Rasulullah said at the end of the hadith, that was Jibril, he came to teach you your religion. So part of the religion is how a Muslim looks. How does he present himself in public? That doesn't mean that you necessarily have to wear a thobe like this, or you have to wear a particular color, but it means when you appear in front of the people, you should realize not only is your behavior being scrutinized, but also the way that you're looking, it says a lot about an individual. So in this case, he started to ask him about the most important aspects and the fundamentals of the religion of Islam. He began with the 5 pillars of Islam. There are 5 pillars of Islam. And the scholars, they say a pillar in Arabic, a pillar is janabu shay al-aqwa. It is that thing of something that is the most strongest solidified point, the foundation of something. So the foundation of a person's Islam is predicated and built upon these 5 pillars. The shahada, the statement of saying, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad abduhu wa rasuluh. There's no God worthy of worship. Muhammad is his slave and his messenger. Muhammad is not the son of Allah. Muhammad is not the nur or the light of Allah. Muhammad is not an extension of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is a terrible statement, and it is something that is so impossible that for someone to believe it, it's just, we have to dedicate another program to that issue. Who is Allah and how Allah is and how He isn't. He is glorious and above having to take partners, having to have a wife, having to have a son. He is beyond that in Islam. The second pillar is the pillar of praying 5 times a day. And the third pillar is the pillar of giving the zakat or the poor due. And the fourth pillar is the pillar of making the fast of Ramadan, in which we abstain from having food and drink and sexual relations with our wives, doing the sunlight hours, and finally making the pilgrimage to Mecca. And we're going to deal with those issues in detail at a later time, and some of the prerequisites that are needed in order to actually do and embark upon making these forms of ibadat or worship. And then we have the second mentioning of al-Iman, the 6 pillars of faith. So the first one, the 5 pillars of al-Iman or al-Islam. Salah, zakat, 5 pillars of Iman, of al-Islam. And those are the actions that you do with your outer body, as you can see. Fasting, praying, giving zakat, making the struggle of going to Mecca. And then the 6 pillars of faith, the 6 arkan of al-Iman, they are all what is internal. The i'tiqad al-bataniyah, those things that the person believes in, but they're on the inside. Believing in Allah, believing in the angels, believing in the books, believing in the prophets, who we never saw any of them, believing in the last day, believing in the divine decree. And then finally we have, as was mentioned in the hadith itself, some of the signs of Yawm al-Qiyamah. one of the beliefs of the 6 pillars of faith is to believe in the last day, and there are certain signs. And there are many signs. But in this particular hadith, the Prophet and Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, gave us 2, and he elaborated on them in a way that anyone who listens and hears this hadith, he could understand that he should prepare himself now, because that time is here. We're not saying that it's close. We're saying that that time is here. As it relates to this hadith, from the onset, I may mention that this is one of the most important hadith in the religion of Islam, because it explains the religion in totality. It is the religion in and of itself. It deals with all of the aspects of the religion of Islam. So all of the knowledge of Islam, any book about Islam, any class that you hear, any khutbah or Friday sermon that an imam or khatib gives in any masjid is going to refer back to these issues that were mentioned in this particular hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The point that I want to highlight here for the rest of this program is concerning the single most important aspect of the 5 pillars of Al-Islam and the 6 pillars of Al-Iman. What is the single most important point considering these 2 issues? The single most important point is the belief in Allah and how the Muslim believes in Allah. As it relates to the religion of Islam, the Muslim has to realize that Allah is the all-powerful, the Almighty. Allah, the Most High, is not one who has been created. He is not begotten, nor does he beget. He's omnipotent. So we have to establish the Tawheed. This is a very important word that you brothers are going to hear over and over, and you from the audience, you're going to hear it over and over, inshallah, in the upcoming programs, at-Tawheed, which is the oneness of Allah. Establishing in your mind and in your heart the need to worship the one who created you. Allah has created the human being, and he put in him what is known in Islam as the fitrah. The fitrah is the natural disposition that a person has to know that God exists. When he's born and he's growing up in his environment, if his environment is not corrupted, if his mother and his father do not corrupt his environment, he has been created with a natural disposition to know certain things. For an example, if he was left on an island by himself and his environment was not corrupted, when it rains, he's going to seek shelter. When it becomes cold, he's going to seek an opportunity or something to warm himself up. Similarly, there's a natural seed, a seed that has been placed in him. A natural disposition is fitrah, to know that he did not create himself. Nick, do you believe that you created yourself?
No.
No one in his right mind is going to believe that or say something like that. He's going to believe that there is someone who was higher than me who actually did the creation. And when we look in the creation, it is a sign. It is a sign that goes to prove that there is someone who was greater than all of this. It's like being in the desert. If a person was in the middle of the desert and he happened to see the tracks of a camel, when he looks at the tracks, he's going to say, these tracks signify and prove that there was a camel that preceded me here. He's not going to come and say, these tracks just appeared haphazardly. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثُلُ الْأَعْلَى. And Allah is the great example. Look at the heavens and the earth, the stars, the moon. Look at all of the creation of the people and the differences in their colors, their languages, their sexes, where they come from, the animals, the fish in the ocean. All of that necessitates a belief that there is a creator. And these things didn't happen, as they say, the Big Bang, nor do we believe as Muslims that we came and our origin was from monkeys or from a tadpole that crawled out of the water. We don't believe that. We believe, as this hadith is suggesting, that we believe in Allah, the Almighty, the All-Powerful, the one who we have to establish his tawheed and his worship for. So therefore, in Al-Islam, the Muslim is the one who he worships only Allah. We do not make the mistake of worshiping Rasulullah Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I have to make it personal here, and I have to share with you, brothers, this issue, because I'm a revert Muslim, and I want to share this with you and share it with the listening audience, because I believe it is a sign. I had a brother who was a bit younger than me. He was afflicted with a disease called sickle cell anemia. African Americans are afflicted with this disease. My brother died a few years ago. When he was dying, the doctor in the hospital told my mother, we can't do anything for him. He's going to die. The disease has run its course. My mother came into the room and she started crying and she started saying, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, oh Jesus, help my baby, help my baby. I knew when I heard that from my mother, Jesus cannot help my brother because Jesus doesn't give life or death. The Muslim is the same way. It is not permissible for the Muslim to look at Muhammad and to say that Muhammad has some special abilities because he's the last prophet and the last messenger. All of the prophets and all of the messengers, without any exception, they were human beings. Allah gave them special abilities in that they were prophets and messengers. But he didn't give them the ability to give life or the ability to give death. In the case of Jesus, we believe that Jesus did give the blind the ability to see, but we'll explain that a little in our upcoming programs. So we're going to stop here due to the time restraints, and we ask Allah to accept our good deeds and to overlook what we've done from mistakes. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا الكريم.
Islam. Islam 101. Islam